Alright guys, so I'm going to be doing a review of Miles Morales' Spider-Man Bad Blood. This is the second volume in the Cody Ziegler run. This was sent to me by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again. And guys, I gotta say, I'm really enjoying this run. I've really been enjoying these Spider-Man books. It's just kind of nice to have a Spider-Man comic that doesn't make you want to hate being a Spider-Man fan. You know what I'm saying? It's just really nice to have a good Spider-Man, a decent Spider-Man book. A good Spider-Man book, I should say, a really good Spider-Man book that actually feels like it's worth reading. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like I can give a damn about a Spider-Man book. Although I am very curious, and Chris did say he's sending me this. Of course, I haven't read Ultimate Spider-Man yet. Chris did say he's sending me that, and Greg Weisman's Spectacular Spider-Men. So yeah, I'm excited for some Spider-Man content. Ultimate Spider-Man will be the next Spider-Man title I talk about. Because I have been dying to read like a good Peter Parker comic, and I've heard nothing but really good things about this era of the Ultimate Universe. But yeah, let's talk about this book. So, for reference, this is kind of like it is volume 2, but there is some stuff that happened prior, and I actually reviewed it before I actually started reading the Miles Morales comics. There was an event involving Carnage where Miles had to battle Cletus Kasady alongside the Red Goblin and Iron Man. So we're coming off of that event, which was called, I think, Carnage Reigns, if I remember right. And that was basically a mini event involving Miles versus Carnage. And it's kind of continuing on with this string of Miles battling all the other Spider-Man villains that Peter just doesn't have. I mean, they don't want to fight him. Of course, we have to have Tombstone be the big overarching villain for Amazing Spider-Man, right, Zeb Wells? So yeah, in the first volume, involved the Scorpion, who was a sub-villain. And the main villain was this new character called the Rabble, and the running thing of this run, I said running like 3 times. The whole overarching thing of Cody Ziegler's Spider-Man run is that Miles has gone through a lot of trauma. Miles has gone through Spider-Verse stuff, his own clone saga. He has been put through the fucking ringer, and he is, after this whole thing with the Rabble and now Carnage. He's now been, and also this thing called the Cape Killers, who are government-sanctioned villains who are hunting Miles by this woman named Agent Gao, who is treating Miles as her own white fucking whale. Miles has been going through it. He does have his girlfriend Starling, a.k.a. Tiana, who is the granddaughter of the Vulture. He does have her support and his friend's support and his parents' support, but it's just not enough. So he's decided to yeah, I'm gonna go into therapy, and who better to go to therapy for in the Marvel universe than everyone's favorite superhero therapist, Doc Samson, aka Dr. Sasquatch, after the events of Immortal Hulk. Yeah. So it's a lot to take in, and I was kind of hoping when Miles was talking about getting help, I was thinking to myself, man, I really hope they use Doc Samson, it's because that was his whole thing in the comics, was that he in the earlier Marvel comics, was that he wasn't just the Hulk's therapist, he was everyone's therapist, and I feel like they've kind of strayed away from that. So it is kind of cool to see Doc Samson, now Dr. Sasquatch. Which is still a weird thing to say, because it's his body in Leonard, aka the Sasquatch from Alpha Flight. His body, they've merged. It was a whole thing. I feel like you could just use that excuse for any comic, right? It was a whole thing that happened in Immortal Hulk. But anyway, so that was pretty cool. And this comic kind of serves as more setup. Let's talk about this one. So yeah, we do that whole thing with Doc Samson. That whole thing is more of a one and done story. This comic is more to build up 2 things. This is what the one of 2 things it's building up is gang war and blood hunt, and Miles' role in both. That's really what this comic is. It is 5 issues, but it is more of 2 separate stories. or 3 if you count the Doc Samson one as like a one and done, but it does kind of build into what goes on with the other characters. So the first half is the gang war build-up with with Starling and Miles battling, with Tiana and Miles battling the Hobgoblin, who's trying to free himself from the mess that the Goblin Queen left his brain after the events of Beyond. Yeah, we're actually talking about the stuff from... You guys remember Spider-Man Beyond? That thing, it started out with Ben Reilly being Spider-Man for a corporation, and then it shit the bed so hard you thought he was bleeding out of its ass? Yeah, we're going back to that. And it's more, and it is cool to see the other like B-list Spider-Man villains show up in Miles's book, and at least at the bare minimum, we're actually getting some villains directly for Miles. One being Hightail, the new speedster, and we also have another character named Bumble. He showed up in a story. And we're also, and of course, like I said, the Rabble. So it's nice to see that it's not just, and I was worried about this, is that they were just going to use Peter's villains and have them be rogues for Miles and not do anything for him. But I do like this new initiative that Miles is getting new villains for himself. And he's also doing the anime show and jump thing where the main protagonist is trying to befriend his enemies, and sometimes it works. He's now kind of friends with Scorpion. He's kind of friends with Rhino now, and depending on how this new story arc goes, he might be friends with the Vulture. Anyway, so that's the first story and what Miles' role is against the Hobgoblin in Gang War. The second story involves a two-parter that has Miles teaming up with Blade and his daughter in order to stop a energy-draining vampire named Rainier, and it also involves one of Miles' new enemies, Hightail, the speedster villain, becoming a vampire herself. That story's pretty fun. It is just kind of cool, because Miles gets, like, a new costume. Blade gives him, like, a new... It's actually, I can't wait for this pop figure. I'm not gonna collect that. I think I've got, like, 2-3 Miles. I don't need a third. Yeah, but the costume does look pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. It's a pretty solid-ass like, I really love Miles' Vampire Hunter costume. I wanted to show that off real fast. Yeah. Solid. But yeah. So that story, like I said, is more to build up Blood Hunt more than anything else. That's really the whole point of that story, is to really showcase what's going to happen to what Miles' role is, along with Blade and his daughter, and kind of like tease that for Blood Hunt. So, like I said, it's not really a main focus. This is kind of like the breather volume. It's more of, hey, Miles is kind of trying to take back his life, and now he is trying to put himself back together, but the call to action's still there, and there's more stuff coming in the future from both Hobgoblin and more vampires. All in all, I'm really liking this. It's kind of cool to see a young superhero deal with mental health. We haven't really got that in comics in a long time, and even then it was just kind of thrown away in like 2 volumes. So it's nice to see it be the main drive of a character. And again, I really love Hobgoblin. It's been a while since I've seen him be used in such a cool way, and hopefully his role in Gang War will be cool. Speaking of, Chris did send me not only Volume 3, which is the Miles Morales Gang War tie-in comics, but also he sent me Luke Cage, the Gang War tie-in with him by Rodney Barnes. So I think what I'm going to do when I get to that story with Miles, I'm just going to read that one and then Luke Cage back to back and do like the 2 Gang War things. But aren't you going to talk about Amazing Spider-Man Gang War? That's the main event. No, I am not. No, I am not. Anyway, so yeah, all in all, I highly recommend this comic, and yeah. So, Chris, thank you once again for this comic, as well as the others, and you guys tell me in the comments below if you've been reading Miles Morales by Cody Ziegler. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.